Good morning. Welcome back to the Broadcast Retirement Network. I'm Jeff Snyder. This is BRN AM for Wednesday, June 16th, 2021. And our top story today, we'll take a look at the community college offerings. Well, joining us now to discuss this and a lot more is Dr. J.J. McCahern. He's Dean of Enrollment at Central Piedmont Community College. JJ, it's great to see you. Thanks so much for joining us on the program this morning.
So glad to be here. Thank you for what you're doing.
We really appreciate making some time, and we know you're in the throes of doing a lot of planning and school sessions, etc. So appreciate you stopping by. Let's start with some basic questions, I guess. What was enrollment like during the pandemic, during and through the pandemic?
Enrollment was really different for us. It was probably the most challenging that I'd seen in over 20 years of work in the community college. And I think a lot had to do with COVID and students not knowing what they wanted to do or where they wanted to go. And theirs was just uncertainty. And we serve a lot of low income, first generation, disadvantaged students. And so many of them would come to campus and need our help one-on-one. And that option wasn't available during COVID. And so many of them chose not to come to college. And so that was very challenging for us. We had to do more outreach to students to figure out how to connect with them. And for us, that meant more virtual services. And that worked well for current students. But, you know, if you imagine you're being an 18-year-old and you just finished your high school career and the last part of it was remote and you hated it or you didn't like it. And then someone says, okay, you can start college and it's going to be remote too. And then you say, oh man, I didn't do so well at the end of high school because of the remote environment. And now to start college in that environment. So it was tough for some high school students to make transition in. And it really impacted really Black and brown students a whole lot because there were far more challenges in terms of work hours, in terms of taking care of siblings. And so enrollment went down for community colleges. We had hoped that students staying at home would all decide to come to the community college because it was local, but it just didn't happen for many of our Black and brown students and our low-income students. And so it was challenging. We learned a lot about ourselves, though, during this time.
Yeah, and a lot of adaptation. And you make the point of, obviously, the university system, the college system impacted, but actually students really set back a year. If they decided to take a year off, and that's fine. A lot of kids do that, right? They go and maybe they want to get some work experience or figure out. At 18, I didn't know. I still don't know at almost age 50 what I'm going to be when I grow up. You really don't know, and so maybe it's about experiencing. But there are a lot of benefits, and I want to really drill down on this because there are a lot of benefits to going to a 2-year university like CPCC. Could you outline what some of those benefits are, both programmatically, academically? I think that would be really interesting for the audience.
Absolutely. One of the things that I love about the community college, and the first thing most people think about is cost. And when I say cost, I think about the fact that when I graduated, I had a lot of college debt. And there is nothing better than to have a student go through Central Piedmont, graduate, and either go to a job or transfer to a 4-year college, and they have no debt. So if they were able to get a job, that first check, instead of 10 or 20% going back to pay back college debt, it's going to a savings account or it's going to investment. And that's one of the things that people love about the community college is the cost, which I think is great. Now, in addition to that is, I think about the fact that we have a great menu of options for students to select from. And whether it's a curriculum program, which means that a lot of our partnerships with four-year universities strong. And so if I can get the first 2 years done at Central Piedmont and then transfer to a four-year college, I'm a junior. And if I'm a junior, then I have 2 more years before I graduate. And then I can already start thinking about a master's or a doctorate degree. And so that's a strong benefit. The other thing is short-term training. There are a lot of people who come to the community college, they don't need a full degree. Now, we want everybody to get a full degree, but everybody comes to the door with an individual need. I need a class on this part of construction, or I need a class on this part of graphic design. And so they can pick from the plethora of classes that we have and get their needs met. And then I think one of the things that I love the most is the faculty are so engaged in the student's success. Because they know who's coming through the door, that person may have gotten up at 4 o'clock in the morning, caught 2 buses just to get to a class at 8 o'clock and drop off a kid or get some breakfast. But they know that everyone who walks through the door has a different story. And the stories make the community college really the core of what this area is all about. And so for us, those faculty members spend a lot of time mentoring and coaching students. And many of them are still in the industry that they're coaching and teaching, and that helps. They have all these industry partners. Not only am I taking a welding class, but I have a welding advisory board. And that advisory board might tell me and my instructors on what's happening out in the community and where the jobs are. And so that's huge for me in terms of a benefit as well. Location, most community colleges, Central Piedmont in particular, we have 6 campuses, which means that you can really go to any campus to get started and take most of your classes at any of these campuses. So location is great. And then we have so many great partnerships in the community that between internships and co-op opportunities and scholarship opportunities, it's really unreal. The COVID had really helped us in terms of really showcasing all the scholarships that we have, because I think students need it more than just financial aid. You know, sometimes you get the Pell Grant, and that's enough for classes and tuition and books and fees, but there were so many other needs that students had, and we were able to complement their financial aid with scholarships, and then we were able to provide even more scholarships. So that's just some of the benefits of a community college. The size is always great, the class is always great, and you know, it was really interesting the other day explaining to a student that, hey, you can go by and see your teacher in an office hour, and explaining what the office hour was, because students are learning for the first time terminology around the community college. And we have staff, and most community colleges do, they understand that each student that steps on that campus, there's a chance to change not just that person, but generations to come.
Yeah, and it really, I think it deserves highlighting. This is really, really important for the community, really important for engagement, and especially if you don't know what you want to be when you grow up like me, I still don't know, really gives you an opportunity to try different things out and not rack up a lot of student loan debt. JJ, I need to take a very quick break. When we come back, we'll talk to JJ about who fits the student profile and more about some of the programs that exist at the community college school level. You're going to want to stay tuned right here on BRN AM. Imagine a new television network that will make you richer, healthier, and in control of your financial future. This network is for the policewoman in Nashville, Tennessee, the baker in Dubuque, Iowa, the teacher in Lexington, Kentucky. We want to make the idea of savings and retirement culturally relevant. But what do you see as a defining issue of the midterms? Especially for the smaller businesses. I mean, they are the lifeblood of the American economy. Featuring exclusive interviews, current affairs, and docuseries. 33 years old, you retired early.
The philosophy is money only matters if it helps you live a life that you love.
But you got to start thinking about retirement as soon as you get in.
The Broadcast Retirement Network will drive very high engagement with premium partnerships. So this isn't retirement and savings for your parents or grandparents. This is for all Americans. And we're going to change the way you think about money. Welcome to the next frontier of retirement and savings. This is BRN, the Broadcast Retirement Network.
Are you stuck with a low credit score? A credit report and score that's causing you to be denied credit or pay higher interest rates than others for the same things? Then do what Terrence did and call Credit Repaired for your free credit evaluation to help restore your credit.
I started thinking about buying a new house, and my score wasn't where I needed it to be. I called and spoke with one of the representatives, and we just had a good conversation, and I liked what he was saying.
Just one call for his free credit evaluation was all it took to start back on the track to repairing his credit.
I'm seeing the deletions and I'm getting the report, so I know something's being done. It does make a difference to me.
All it takes is one call to get started.
Credit Repair has given me a second chance to have a better credit score.
Don't let a low credit score hold you back another day. Do what Terrence did and make the call for your free credit evaluation.
Call 800-819-4152. That's 800-819-4152. Again, 800-819-4152.
Welcome back. We're talking to Dr. J.J. McCahern. He's Dean of Enrollment at Central Piedmont Community College. J.J., thanks so much for staying with us this morning.
Glad to be here. Glad to talk about the great work that's happening at the community college.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, it's not, we're talking about CPCC, but this is going on across the United States of America. There are lots of great systems out there. So regardless of where you live, you're certainly welcome to come to CPCC in Charlotte. It's beautiful here, I can tell you that for certain, but there are other opportunities out there. Let's start off this segment with who fits the profile of a community college student. You alluded to some of that in the first segment, but when you look at your demo, your key target demo, who was in that group?
Mm-hmm. Well, Jeff, I'd like to start that answer by telling you a really quick story.
Sure.
I was in Gainesville, Florida when I started doing the work at community colleges at Santa Fe Community College. And one of the things that happened my very first week is in my office was a traditional 18-year-old valedictorian who I could help. The next day there was a clergyman who received some new computers and they were interested in learning something about the software, and I could help them. There was a person who had just been laid off from a job and needed to retool, and I could help them. And then there was a person who just wanted to change their life around because they had been homeless, and I could help them. And I realized that moment that the community college, in terms of typical students, we could help just about anybody. And as a person that loves education, one of the things that I realized early is if you have a strong community college, you have a strong vehicle for making everyone in your community just a little bit better. And the end goal is for people to have careers, not just jobs, but careers. And I think the community college they inspire students. So when we look at the typical community college student, it's trending a little younger now. More students are out of high school are becoming a little bit more savvy about money. And so more of them are saying, hey, why don't I do the first 2 years here and then transfer? Or let me do the first year and then transfer. And so that's very popular with the high school students. Now, when the economy is really, really good, most adults aren't thinking about coming back to college because they're working. The job is going well. And so when the economy does poorly or is, just a little different, a lot of adults come back and get retrained or certified. But what's happening at the community college now, our typical student right now are a combination between high school students who are coming out and adults who really want to sharpen some of their skills, whether it's a Six Sigma training or maybe a digital marketing certificate. I mean, there's so many different careers out there. And what our faculty and staff really try to do is to stay connected with the industry so that they can help students select high demand careers so that when they get out, they don't just go to school, but they go out, they go to school and then they have a career on the back end of that they could get moving and starting with.
JJ, you mentioned the instructors. Let's talk about who those individuals are. Are they part of the corporate community, the not-for-profit community in and around the local area? Are they full-time employees? What's the makeup of that? Who's going to be instructing these people? Do they have practical experience as well?
Absolutely. And we have a combination of them both. We have a strong group of full-time faculty members who absolutely love what they're doing. They're here to teach. They're here to mentor. They're here to coach. They're different than most faculty members who are looking for tenure. They're here really, really focused on doing the work for the community. And then we have a large number of part-time faculty. And those part-time faculty are usually in the industry, and they come in and they teach as well. And so they're also a part of the faculty group. And so being a part of the faculty group, you have the full-time faculty learning from the part-time faculty who are in the community doing the work of the industry. And so we have a great combination of both. We have some evenings, we have some online, and so it's great. It's great for the student. And I think that's how many of our students get internships and co-ops too, through the relationships with faculty at the campus.
And in reading some of the literature about CPCC in particular, I noticed that there are partnerships, I think over 800 partnerships with the local business community. I think that's important for a lot of reasons, and I'll let you certainly articulate that. But one for me, having a opportunity to get either an internship, an apprenticeship, or a job post-college. But these community college, they're really essentially communities, and they envelop and bring in the local businesses, whether they are a not-for-profit, a government, or even a for-profit corporation.
Absolutely, and that's one of the most important strategies that a community college can use is to develop the relationships with businesses across the really the county and the state. And we have one great program called Year Up. It's a program that's at Central Piedmont where students, they take classes for 6 months, and then they do an internship for 6 months at Bank of America. And then once that internship is over, they finish a certificate at Central Piedmont, but then they also are immediately qualified to work at Bank of America. And some of them earn $50,000, $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 right out the gate after 1 year. And so you look for partnerships for careers for students when they're finished. You look for partnerships with internships, as you mentioned. You have a good internship, you have a good network, you have leverage in terms of getting a career or starting a career, and that's so important for the students. And so for many people who come to this region, they learn about Central Piedmont through the partnerships that we have with their organizations, whether it's Tesla, which we have a great partnership with, Cummings, we have a great partnership, definitely Novant Health, we have a good partnership. But all of these community agencies are great, and we really want to stay connected with them because we are providing them with really their workforce for the next 10, 20, maybe 30 years. And so that's our focus in terms of partnerships.
Yeah, and in looking at the recent Federal Reserve data from St. Louis Federal Reserve, there is a demand for workers. So you highlighted it and alluded to it. JJ, we're going to have to leave it there. Really appreciate you joining us on the program this morning. And look, we look forward to having you back again very soon.
Thank you so much. I appreciate the time, Jeff, and the great work you're doing.
And that wraps up this episode of BRN AM. Have a topic of interest, someone you think we should talk to, drop us a line. And don't forget, for all the information in retirement markets, technology, personal finance, so much more, all in one place, check out today's edition of our daily newsletter, The Morning Pulse. We're back again tomorrow, so until then, I'm Jeff Snyder. Stay safe, keep on saving, and don't forget, roll with the changes.
Are you being audited and do you owe the IRS $10,000 or more in back taxes? Is the IRS threatening to take more of your money? Don't fight the IRS alone. The Tax Doctor is here to help you negotiate your tax bill and reduce your stress. The IRS can freeze your assets and seize your bank accounts, but you can stop these IRS actions. The Tax Doctor will work with you using our years of experience to represent your case to help you get the best resolution under the IRS guidelines. Help is here to deal with the IRS to reduce your stress. We've handled thousands of cases, so we know what we're doing. If you owe $10,000 or more in back taxes, do not call the IRS alone. Call a Tax Doctor now for a tax emergency analysis.
Call 800-224-6439.